2020, when the first cases of COVID hit our country, we and the rest of the world were in uncharted territory. Fear and sheer terror gripped our land. Probably to future generations, it will look quite obvious what should have been done. But 2 years ago, it felt like we had fallen into a dark, malicious, and terrifying abyss. We could not have been prepared for the catastrophe that hit us. Even the richest economies with the most sophisticated structures were unprepared. Maybe some of us have forgotten what the experts were predicting at the time. Our health and medical infrastructure was woefully inadequate, and we would not be able to cope. There were going to be piles of dead bodies strewn across the streets of Africa. There was a general consensus that we should spend all our energies on resources, on protecting lives. I remember, for example, the discussions about PPEs 2 years ago. Nobody was asking or was interested in how much they cost. Just find them for our health workers, and that was the only consideration. I wonder how many people remember the cost of the first face shields and nose masks that came into our country. I took the decision we would prioritize the savings of lives, and then we would get together to rebuild our economy. Nobody imagined the devastation would be so widespread and last so long. We've had our fair share of COVID deniers and conspiracy theorists, but it is fair to say, Mr. Speaker, that our management of the COVID-19 outbreak has been exemplary and has been so acclaimed by the world. And with the great mercies of the Almighty, we have saved lives. Indeed, the total number of deaths we have sadly recorded, 1,445, represents a minuscule fraction of the total number of deaths on the African continent, 0.6%. I remember a year ago, we were in the midst of the second wave of COVID infections and deaths. There was widespread fear. Again, there was consensus. We should concentrate all attention and resources on protecting lives. By that time, a little more was known about the virus, and the anxiety had shifted to the provision of vaccines. We moved rapidly to secure the provisions of vaccines, first for the frontline officials and workers and those most at risk, and then to the general mass of the population, always relying on the current scientific thinking. We had to learn some very hard lessons, and our belief in the need for self-sufficiency was reinforced when vaccine nationalism was played out blatantly by the rich and powerful countries. Mr. Speaker, the Presidential Vaccine Manufacturing Committee, which I set up to respond to this obvious deficiency, has put in place a comprehensive strategy for domestic vaccine production and the establishment of a National Vaccine Institute to implement the strategy, which will enable us to begin the first phase of commercial production in January 2024. A bill will shortly be brought to you in this House for your support and approval for the establishment of the National Vaccine Institute.